Now, I've mentioned a couple of times that Noah's wife was unconscious throughout the whole sordid business. We could say that this is obvious because she never cried out. But then in a court of law, for example, it could be admitted that she didn't cry out because she was a willing participant. Perish the thought. Nevertheless, this can be certified that she was unconscious due to the fact that Shem and Japheth went in to their parents' tent after Ham had been in there to cover her naked body. Evidently, they found her unconscious exactly as Ham had told them. The question may be raised then as to why she didn't wake up at any point, from the entering of Ham into the tent, to the committal of the act, to his departure. She may have been extremely tired, but it's most likely that she too, like Noah, was drunk from the wine. The Bible warns against drunkenness, and this is not speaking about finding yourself drunk one day. What the Bible speaks about is lingering long on the wine, making it habitual to be a proper drunk. So, with this in mind, was this a one-off occasion that Noah and his wife were drunk, or had they become drunks? Well, I suppose the latter, even with scriptural evidence. How can we prove that they were drunks and that this wasn't merely a seldom occurrence? Well, 3 reasons come to mind. For one, I reckon that if this had been a one-off, that either Noah or his wife would have woken up at some point during the disturbance of Ham's presence, their bodies having not suffered the rigours of constant alcohol abuse. And to add to this, I hold the belief that God would have given Noah or his wife a nudge in order to wake them up. But being that they were drunks, did not merit such an intervention. God cannot support wrongdoing. We all have to bear the consequences of our actions. For 2, Ham must have been noting a familiar pattern, that of his mother and father getting drunk until they passed out on their bed, so as to take the advantage. Perhaps on the observing of them doing this, this ignited his wicked plan. But the most compelling is, of course, from Scripture. If we look to the book of Samuel, before he was born, his mother Hannah was deeply distressed because the Lord had sealed up her womb. So distressed was she that, during her and her husband's annual visit to the house of the Lord, she was beside herself in prayer, in that she mouthed the words, but no sound came from her voice. Now, Hannah must have looked quite a state in her distress and moroseness, because she had redness of eyes. For she had wept sorely over her barrenness. On top of this, her husband had a second wife who not only produced offspring for her husband, but provoked Hannah terribly for her destitution of child. More so at the yearly trip to the house of the Lord. This hatred doubtless arose from the fact that of the 2, the husband loved only Hannah. So Hannah's torment must have been severe. And as she prayed earnestly before the Lord, looking quite the tearful mess, the priest Eli, observing her, marked her and considered her a drunk, saying, 1 Samuel 1:14, "How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee." But she was as sober as can be. The only thing that had been poured out was her sorrowful soul. But notice the words of Eli while having reckoned her a drunk, for he says, "Put away thy wine." Now, this is a statement with a scornful remark, pointing to such a one who has taken something usually shared to be their own, in the eyes of the onlooker, that is. Because such a one has taken such a thing to excess, and nobody wants to be seen as an associate when it comes to such a thing. For example, if you had a drinker on the premises and someone came asking where he or she was, you might respond by saying, "He's in there with his beer or his bottle." And now let's return to what Moses wrote about Noah, Genesis 9:24, and Noah awoke from his wine. However, this habitual drunkenness of Noah and his wife was not years old, for we have already ascertained that this time was the 3rd year after the flood, and maybe into the 4th. Seeing as it takes 3 years to get grapes from a seedling, then Noah's habitual drunkenness was merely months old, maybe even weeks. It could be argued that this drunkenness was only in the habit-forming stage. As we know, now Noah was an expert gardener, and it has been said that the ground was highly fertile after the flood, which makes sense, and that his wine was of an exquisite vintage. And seeing as Noah had done a great work before the Lord, and that now he'd passed the baton of life to his sons, he and his wife could relax and enjoy a drink, celebrate. But as we humans are prone to do, they took things too far, something that we all have to watch and keep in check, lest we suffer some terrible fate, such as Noah did.
I shall be uploading the entire series of Ham is the father of Canaan, but I thought that Noah was. If, however, you would like to purchase the book or ebook, then these options are available on Amazon. I also recommend to you my other publication, Nimrod, The Easy Way to Be a Mighty One, which correlates at times with this particular discourse. My name is John Edgar Townsend. I trust that you will have a blessed day.